Hiya, I'm Matt the dog, and on today's Wagon Bone, we're going to be taking out all my lenses to a real shelter and doing a real photo shoot to find out which lens is the best for pet photography. Just down the road there, just down the hill, that's where the dogs are kept. We're going to be bringing them up the hill and take a picture. So the Canon 35mm 1.4. I've got to be honest, I didn't really buy this for photography. I bought this for filming in my real day job, so I could throw the background out of focus. But I've got to be honest, for portraits, this is fantastic. Let's see what it can do. We've got some really detailed shots with that 35mm. It's pin sharp, it really gives a 3D image around the dog. But for my style, when I like to get up close and I can hand sausages and things to the dogs, it's just a little bit too wide. For the portraits on the face, it's perfect. But if I want to get the whole body in, it just crops a little bit too much. And I've got to move back, I've got to lean back out of the way or get the dog a little further away than I like it to be. So I'm going to swap this lens over and we're going to put it on with the 16-35. So on a full frame sensor, we're going to get a true 16. It's a very wide angle. We're not going to miss any of the dog. So the ambient light is actually 200 at f8, so we'll stick with that. We've got some nice skies there, a decent amount of cloud behind. So I noticed on the shots, I was just getting a little bit of shadow on this side from the big flash. So we're going to pop on this little beauty dish here. Hello, pal. I love this 16-35. It gives me all the room that I need to work with. It makes that little toy dog, that little cartoon, the caricature, anything that comes up to the lens, it expands that, makes it bigger. It's great for little dogs. I think it works much better with little dogs than it does with the bigger dogs. The little dogs, the bodies are much closer to the heads. If you've got a big tall dog and you get a big head on it and that body's far away, it gets very, very small. It looks a little bit strange. So for smaller dogs, getting close with this 16mm, really exaggerate that nose and you can get really fun, lovable and cute shots. I'm going to put on a slightly longer lens. I'm going to put on the 135 f2. Should get a really lovely bokeh background on that and give it a decent enough distance away from the dog not to freak it out. As you can see, the colours and the bokeh on this lens are fantastic. I really, really love it. It's a portrait lens like no other. It's pin sharp, it's crisp, it's f2, so you've got a very, very shallow depth of field, so you've got to be careful with that. But it's a beautiful, beautiful lens. It's very, very creamy, and the fall off, the drop off between the eyes and the background is just sensational. What a great, great lens. So we'll pop on next the macro lens. Now, it's a 100mm 2.8 macro lens. We'll try and get some macro shots. I'm not even sure there'll be any macro shots. If we can get some close-ups on the nose, something like that. See there, with the macro lens on, we were getting nowhere near. What a fun-loving dog, jumping around chasing sausages. He just wanted to play and sniff. So let's gonna do that. Let's bring that out of him. We'll get the action lens on, the true tried and tested 70-200. Let's get a bit of action shots, a few poses from further away. Let's get some creamy bokeh on and see what we can get. Next up we're going with the my favourite old workhorse. It's not really a speciality lens in any way, the 24 to 105 f4. The lens that I used when I was doing photojournalism for the newspapers and things. It's a real workhorse, it does a great job. We'll go in and just see if we can get a few of these last ones. So, results time. Probably not surprised if you've watched the video that in last place today we have the macro 100mm 2.8. It's a really good lens, but for a telephoto, for a portrait lens, I've already got a couple of others that are ahead of it. As a macro for pet photography, very, very difficult to focus so closely. Even in bright daylight, you're not going to get a massive aperture to get a decent depth of field. So difficult to nail focus on a dog that's moving around. If it was a dog that's sleeping, you might get a shot of the paws or the nose, something like that. It's still a great lens. A lot of the shots that you've seen throughout the video have been used with this. It was taken for a lot of the talking, the telephoto for the talking was used with the macro 100, but for pet photography, bottom of this list. It's the 24 to 105. It's a shame really, because it's a great lens, especially this one. This is a Mark 1. I bought it on eBay, second hand. It was about $300. It was advertised as having a little scratch on the lens that didn't affect the quality of the photo. So I took a punt on it and nobody else did. I got it for $300 and the scratch doesn't affect the quality of the lens. It's a real workhorse. If you've just got one lens and you can only carry one lens, I'd take this. It's got a little macro setting on there as well, so you can get riding close. It's a real utility lens. It does a great job, just not quite as good as some of these. Next on the list, big surprise, it's the 70 to 200. A lot of people swear by this lens, but for me, it just doesn't do what I want it to do. It's a little bit heavy. I haven't been blown away by the images. I'm not sure if there was a fault with this lens. I've made another little video about it. I'm going to go out and test this again later, but the images weren't as sharp as everyone said. Maybe it was a fault with the lens, but I haven't fallen in love with it at all. It gets some good shots, just not quite as good as these. Next up, the Canon 135 f2, a fabulous portrait lens. Really distinctive. It's a prime lens, it's super sharp. The colours that you get from it are unlike any other lens that I've seen. The bokeh and the drop-off that you get from it is fabulous. It's just a truly wonderful lens, and if you just have to do in a portrait and trying to get some creamy bokeh, then the 135 f2 is the lens to go for. It's very cheap for what it is. It's about 15 years old now. It's still version 1. It's the only version they do. Perhaps they're going to bring a new one out for the mirrorless range, but at the minute there's no image stabilization on it. Doesn't matter. Get the shutter speed up nice and high. It's a great portrait lens. Next, the battle of the wide angles. Coming in at second place is the 16 to 35 f4. Fabulous lens, I love it. It's nice and wide on my full frame camera. It lets me get right in, lets me get right close to the dog so that I can feed them and still be able to fit them all in. It gives that exaggeration in the centre, so when the dog's coming forward it blows that head up, makes it very caricature, very cartoony. Really helps to show the dog's character. It's a great lens. I've gone for the f4 because most of the shooting that I do is either in the studio or outside here in Spain. It's full of bright daylight. I don't need that 2.8. f4 does a perfect job, and looking at the reports online, the f4 is slightly sharper than the 2.8 anyway. Next up is the champion, the winner, my favourite lens, and it's a real surprise to me. When I bought this, I bought it for one specific reason. It was for this kind of thing. In my day job, I have to have a studio like this with things behind me, very shallow, and I wanted to try and throw this out of focus, and I wanted me to just pop out. It's a fabulous, fabulous lens for the video for the purpose that I need. I put it on to take a few photographs with it, and now I hardly take anything else. I just love it. I'm looking for excuses and reasons why I can take a photograph with the 35 over anything else. It gives you a nice creamy background, but not bokeh out of focus. You can't see, you can still see what's behind, and for me that's very, very important. I have some lovely backgrounds that I take these dogs on, and I want to be able to see it. I want to see hills, mountains, seas and lakes. I don't want them to be so blurred that you can't tell what they are. There's something about this lens that just pops. It's like a 3D image almost. You're looking at it and the outline with the background blurred behind, it's just crisp, creamy. It's a wonderful, wonderful lens. I can't recommend it highly enough. I heard that the 85 1.4 is also very, very good and gives you that 3D pull out. Very, very pricey. This one comes in at about $1,500, and for me, it's worth every penny. Thanks for watching this episode of Wag and Bone. My favourite lens, the 35mm 1.4. What about you guys? Do you agree? Are you still stuck on the 70-200? Most people are. Let me know in the comments. If you've enjoyed the video, please press like and share. And if you want to see more content like how I edit from this into this, then subscribe, because I've got that video coming very, very soon.